Christmas caroling when you were younger? Didn't you have fun? You still do. Still do. That's a great. Every time I get singing these songs, it just makes me want to go out and go Christmas caroling for about half hour, 40 minutes, and then go back. Amen. It's just that time of year that just brings that out. So, but let's go ahead and go to the Lord of prayer, and I am going to ask Brother Gary Ritchie. Would you please word our prayer this morning?
Father, we give you thanks that we can be here today and worship you in this time of the year and this season. And we give thanks for this season, and we pray that we will worship you with honor and glory. And we will honor this message today and bless it to our hearts.
Amen. You may be seated, and we'll sing "O Little Town of Bethlehem." 445. Little town of Bethlehem, thou still be seen high. Above thy deep and dreamless sleep, the silent stars go by. Yet in thy dark street shineth the everlasting light. The hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight. For Christ is born of Mary and gathered all above. While mortals sleep, the angels keep their watch of wondering love. Oh, morning stars together proclaim the holy birth, and praises sing to God the King, and peace to men on earth. How silently the wondrous gift is there. So God imparts to human hearts the blessings of His hand. No ear may hear His coming, but in this world of sin, where meek souls will receive His Son, the dear Christ enters in. O holy child of Bethlehem, descend to us, we pray. Cast out our sin and enter in, we mourn in us today. We hear the Christmas angels, the great glad tidings tell. Oh, come to us, abide with us, our Lord Emmanuel. Amen. Let's all stand together as we sing our choruses. Our chorus, "This Must Be a Place." This must be a place where a broken heart can mend. This must be a place where an outcast finds a friend. For we cannot lift the fallen if our hands are holy stones, and the sin that seems so great to us is no greater than our own. There must come a morn where shame meets grace, and this must be the way. As Kelvin continues to play, let's take this time to read one another. Wireless.
Cover back on. It's at a flea market down the street. You didn't know that? Yes. And then when he wants to sing, we're all, what do we do? What do we do?
So are you manually flipping each of these screens?
Yes.
Yeah, he's on it.
I can mess them all up. Do you need any verses?
I like the new look.
Do you need any verses?
Not with what version for it.
Good morning.
Why when you're
25?
Okay, well, that's go better. I'm sure your kids are normal.
Good. No.
Hello, Josh.
Hola.
How's everybody doing?
We're doing okay.
Say, Josh,
Good morning, how are you? Did you get me last week or whenever we faced off there?
Where a broken heart can mend. This must be a place where an eye can find a friend.
I made a substitution.
Now there's the calling, if our hands are holding so. Sin that seems so great to us is no greater than our own. There must come a point where shame meets grace, and this must be the place. All right, remain standing, please, and we'll sing our choruses. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be the name of the Lord. He is worthy to be praised and adored. So we lift up holy hands in one accord, singing, blessed be the name, blessed be the name, blessed be the name of the Lord. Oh, come, let us adore. Oh, come, let us adore Him. Oh, come, let us adore Him. we love you, we worship and adore you. Glorify thy name in all the earth. Glorify thy name. Glorify thy name. Glorify thy name in all the earth. Amen. Well, I'm going to let the Garys do the praying today, so I'm going to ask Gary Eves if he will ask a blessing on the offering.
Lord Jesus, we thank you again so much, Lord, for the opportunity to gather in your house. Thank you, Lord, for taking care of us, Lord. Lord, we pray you meet the needs of all the folks that are down and out today, possibly, Lord. Thank you not able to make it in today for illness or sickness, Lord. And pray you touch them, Lord. We all those that are here, Lord. We pray that they take home a special blessing, Lord. And just pray that you bless this offering, bless the gift and the giver. In your precious and holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. culturally right. It could be offensive. Trophy? Is that the trophy? All right, so I'm dropping a trophy. I might preach in this next Sunday. I don't know, maybe tonight. We'll see. But, it's
good to have Rob Roberto here. He's our missionary to Nepal, and he is my nephew. And Uncle Todd is just fine. And so Pastor Morrissey, and no problem. Or either way, it's interchangeable, but that's all right. But we're awfully proud of him and excited to be part of his work and his ministry there. We're glad he's over here stateside, and he's only able to be here this morning. He's got another place to be this evening, so we're going to kind of push it all together here. And Rob, I'm going to turn it right on over to you, so come on up and share what the Lord's laid on your heart here for us today.
Thanks. We got the video ready. Let's go ahead and start with that.
All right, let's go get that going.
China in Southeast Asia. More than 28 million people call Nepal home, and that population is spread out across its diverse landscape of jungles, flatlands, hills, and its famous towering mountains. But behind its natural beauty, Satan has long held Nepal in a chokehold. Less than 1.5% of the population claims to be Christian. The vast majority of the Nepalese are practicing Hindus, and their constitution expressly prohibits conversions from one religion to another. Mission work in Nepal must be carefully undertaken with a balance of boldness and caution. Those caught proselytizing are swiftly ejected. Stone and wooden idols and temples are found on nearly every corner, and each morning finds worshippers ringing their prayer bells, chanting prayers, and making offerings to false gods. It is in this darkness that the light of the gospel shines brightest. And while the government tries to keep Christ out of Nepal, hearts all across the country are searching for the truth. In January of 2011, Rob, Grace, and 5-month-old Timothy arrived in Nepal, excited about sharing the truth of the gospel. They quickly found a place to live, enrolled in language school, and jumped right into the ministry work at Hope Baptist Church in Kathmandu.
Right away, we were able to teach and preach in Bible college, help out with song service, and bring people to church to tell them about Christ.
Later that year, they moved to Mahima Baptist Church, a Nepali church on the south side of the valley in Nakul, where Rob preaches and the family helps with other ministries.
For my birthday in 2012, Grace got me a mountain bike, and I started riding all the trails that crisscross the countryside, connect the villages, all the little walking trails, and it opened up Nepal to me in a way that I hadn't ever seen before.
A short trail ride could reach remote villages full of people who had never heard the gospel or seen a foreigner. Rob wrote a simple Nepali gospel tract to pass out along with candy to people he met along the way. While riding in an out-of-the-way nearby valley full of rice fields and goat herders, he came across a small village called Sino Coconut.
As I rode through this village time after time, God gave me a special burden for that area and the people there that had never heard the gospel. In fact, one time I stopped and talked to an old goat herder, and I asked him if he knew about Jesus. But he had never heard the name of Jesus, not even one time. And he pointed up at an old temple on the hill next to him and said, "That's the only God that I know and worship."
Another day, Rob stopped in a tiny cattle shelter for some shade and rest. When he sat down, a resting shepherd approached and started asking for music.
I was sure I had misunderstood him, but he kept asking for a song for his hand. And soon he pulled out a twisted, palsied up hand, and he told me that when he heard Bible songs, when he sang Bible songs, it helped his hand feel a little bit better. And soon he also pulled out of his pocket a tattered old section that was torn out of a Nepali hymn book. And there on the side of the trail, we sang songs in English and Nepali. People gathered around to hear this Bible songs sung.
Rob came back later to follow up and started teaching him the Bible each week. Because of his crippled hand, the shepherd's family treated him like an outcast. Rob and Ganendra would meet and study the Bible in the fields and, on rainy days, in cattle shelters.
Occasionally others would join us, but most of the time it was just he and I and his goats. They were worshiping, praising the Lord, studying the Bible.
Finally, in January of 2014, they rented a traditional Newari mud and brick building alongside a narrow dirt trail on the edge of the village. It was being used to house buffalo and store drying corn. They cleaned it up and started meeting there each week to study the Bible and worship. They soon started a Tuesday night children's Bible club in the same building. Where adults were cautious and wary, the children were open and accepting. The Lord blessed, and they quickly had a group of 15 kids coming each week to memorize verses and learn Bible stories.
Through those children, we've been able to reach out to the community. They see our love for the children. They see us spending time with them. And because of that, they open up. We've had Christmas services that were completely packed out, where the gospel was plainly preached to almost every single adult in the entire village. Please pray for the people in the Coconut Valley.
On April 25th, in the morning church service, the preacher was wrapping up his message. Suddenly, the church building began to move.
At first, it was just shaking and vibrations, but it quickly started swaying and swinging until I could barely even keep my balance, and we're already sitting on the floor. We all gathered around the support beams to try and stay, in the safest place possible, but I sincerely thought that the entire building was going to cave in. It was going to fall out from underneath us any second. And it was truly a miracle that God protected us in that earthquake.
When they went down to check out the Coconut Church building, they walked through the destroyed village and had to scramble over piles of rubble from collapsed buildings. As they came down the small path, the church building was standing with no damage whatsoever. It was constructed no differently than every other building that was destroyed that day, but the Lord protected it.
Right away, we were able to house people in the church building who had lost their homes and, in many cases, everything they owned, including their entire year's worth of stored food.
The earthquake provided an amazing opportunity to not only preach the love of Christ, but show it in actions and deed.
From the beginning, we had no idea how this would change our work and our lives here in Nepal. No, our house hadn't fallen down, but we were instantly surrounded by people that had lost everything and were going through the hardest times that they would ever see in their entire lives.
The next day, they were out looking for ways to help. It started simply with bringing hot tea and snacks to serve to workers that were clearing rubble, but the next few months saw them traveling to remote villages to survey damage, clearing rubble, traveling with and helping medical relief teams, building temporary and permanent shelters for those who had lost their homes, delivering food and medical supplies, installing water filtration systems, teaching, preaching, counseling, and comforting the brokenhearted, all the while sharing the love of Christ and the gospel message with people who might never have heard without the earthquake. Those who went through what is now referred to as the Great Gorkha Earthquake will never forget where they were when the earth shook. The earthquake has had a dramatic effect on their lives.
Every time we get another strong aftershock, we literally hear a collective wail come up from the community around us as terrified people are just afraid of the earthquake and what might be coming again.
The earthquake wreaked havoc in a country whose people already lived a difficult life. It reached into every aspect of life and will continue to affect people for many years to come.
Many people lost their family members, their ancestral homes were completely destroyed. The trauma and those tragic memories, they're going to live with those forever.
In the wake of the earthquake, the Lord opened the door to start a children's feeding ministry where the Bible is taught each week. Now they are in the process of replicating that ministry in the village of Dukuchap in conjunction with a new church plant.
After so much traveling with the relief work, God has given me a special burden for the training of the remote village pastors. So many of these men are just baby Christians themselves. And while they have the great spirit, the great attitude, they really need that training and encouragement so that they don't fall prey to false doctrine themselves.
please pray for the Rabideau family as they minister to the people of Nepal, and for the Nepalese as they recover and rebuild from the earthquake.
All right, is this working for me now? All right, I'll take a few questions before we get into the message. I actually do want to teach and preach this morning, so we'll get to it sometime, but I'll take a few questions if there were any that were opened or caused by the presentation this morning. Yes, sir.
That little wagon that says Jesus is alive, does anybody ever stop about that?
No, that's actually way out in the middle of nowhere in a village. There's one believer at that church who owns and operates a tractor, and on one side, it says it in Nepali, Parmeshwar, Jeevi, and then on the other side it says in English also. So he's pretty proud of that. But no, he doesn't have trouble. The main reason the government would give people trouble is basically on soul winning and that sort of thing. They say you're not allowed to influence people to cause them to change religion. That's what they said. So they don't have a problem with someone putting a cross or even a message like that on the side of their vehicle. No, it's not that. Good question. Yes. Someone else had a question over here? No, I'm just imagining. Yes, sir.
How do you witness to them then if you can't proselyte? Because I've heard stories of Christian missionaries who are in India who've gotten stoned or killed because of witnessing. How do you do that then?
Well, the simple answer is the protection of the Lord. It really is. We know of 2 missionaries that have been kicked out of the country in the last 6 months, because of this. And frankly, they're not going to stick a foreigner, because of the country I'm from. They're not going to, drop me in jail. More than likely, they're going to escort you to the airport, kick you out of the country. But that being said, when you talk to people, you just use common sense. When you go and you knock on someone's door and you go to visit them, you go to talk to them, you don't come up there and the first thing you say, by the way, you're on your way to hell. You need Jesus. You walk up there and you get to know them. Even if it's just for a second. You introduce yourself, hey, I'm at this church, we're just not inviting you to the church, and you see what their demeanor is like. You see how they respond in that situation. And depending on what they say, whether or not they're open, whether or not they're angry, then you may just move on to the next door, you may move on to the next person, or you'll sit there and you'll tell them more. And it's the same way. Because this is something that's difficult to proselytize. The police are not out there patrolling the streets. Who's out there talking to people about Jesus? They go and they go and deal with people that are complaining about it. So the Lord protects us, of course, but basically you don't make people angry, and you use common sense, and you're going to be able to stay in the ministry work that God wants you to be doing there. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's take one more question. Anyone else? No one else? All right, let's turn our Bibles to Philippians chapter 2 this morning. Philippians chapter 2 and verse 25. We're reading what's written by Paul here. You guys didn't get that on the screen? I'm expecting it now. Where are these verses? Come on. Oh, there we go. Philippians 2:25 through 30. I'll read. It says, yet I supposed it necessary to send to you Epaphroditus, my brother, and companion and laborer and fellow soldier to your your messenger, and he that ministered my wants. For he longed after you all, and was full of heaviness, because he had heard that he had been sick. For indeed he was sick nigh unto death, but God had mercy on him, and not only on him only, but on me also, lest I should have sorrow upon sorrow. I sent him therefore the more carefully, that when you see him again, ye may rejoice, and that I may be the less sorrowful. Receive him therefore in the Lord with all gladness, and hold such in reputation. Because for the work of Christ he was nigh unto death, not regarding his own life, to supply your lack of service toward me. Let's pray before we pray the message. Dear Heavenly Father, I pray you would please speak to our hearts. I pray you would use this passage, use your word. I pray you help me to say what you want me to, nothing more, nothing less to it. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. So, today I want to look at this man, Epaphroditus. This is a kind of interesting name. It was when I'm sitting here writing out my notes, and I'm having to type Epaphroditus, over and over again. I'm wishing that God gave him some sort of a nickname. I was trying to think, what would it be? I don't know, what would you call him? Aphrodite? Or I don't know, you come up with some sort of short name for him, but The Bible said that this was, or I read somewhere else that this was actually a changed name of Aphrodite, and it was basically a way of saying handsome. So it was kind of like hey handsome, hey Epaphroditus, kind of a funny man, a funny name for the minister, for the for this preacher that was working with Paul. But we see here the testimony of Epaphroditus, and it was given by Paul in verse 25. Okay, in this story, Paul was not able to go and visit the Philippians. He wanted to, he talked about how much he wanted to go and visit them, but instead he had to send Epaphroditus in his place. And we've all done this sometime. I think, as a pastor, you probably have to go and send people in your place to go and visit someone. And, sometimes maybe you call them on the phone, oh, so-and-so is going to come visit you in the hospital. And they're going to be there. And don't worry, he's going to comfort you. He's going to be an encourager. He's going to be a help to you. Or maybe it's someone that they don't know even. Like, oh, I've known this person for a long time. He's a really good friend. He's a helper in the ministry. And I'm going to send Brother Paul over. No, it wouldn't be Brother Paul. I'm going to send them over to take care of you, to help you. And that's what Paul is telling these people here, that he's going to send some out. Maybe they're a little anxious about meeting a new person sometimes. Maybe they're wondering what the person is going to be like because they don't have a relationship. So you have to describe the person and tell them about it. But it's a little bit different here with Epaphroditus, because Epaphroditus was originally from the Philippian church. They had sent him to minister to Paul. They had sent him with the offerings even from their church there. So they knew Epaphroditus. They had sent him. Let's look in Philippians chapter 4 quickly. Verse 18. But I have all and abound. I am full, having received of Epaphroditus the things which were sent from you, talking about the offering, the help, and odor of a sweet smell, a sacrifice acceptable and well-pleasing to God. He's basically saying, hey, thank you for your support over here on the mission field as I'm serving the Lord. But we see here that they sent Epaphroditus to Paul to be a blessing to him, to bring the offerings to him, to be a helper. So he was not new to this Philippian church. I don't believe that he was a troublemaker that they were trying to get rid of when they sent him to Paul. I don't think they were sending him for remediation or for reform. I think they were sending him to be a help and a blessing there. Maybe for some growth and training, like you would send a young man or a preacher boy out to serve under a man of God. They sent him out with the offerings of their church because, frankly, he was trustworthy. He was someone that they did know. He was sent to be a blessing to Paul. I imagine him, and it doesn't say this specifically in the passage, but I imagine him as maybe the quote-unquote favorite son of the church. The person that everyone knew as he grew up, and they were so proud of little Epaphroditus, and I can just imagine the old ladies, their walkers, I remember Epaphroditus. I changed some diapers in the nursery when I was just, I can just imagine, Epaphroditus was someone that they knew well, someone that they were proud of, someone that they were glad to send to be a help to the ministry of Paul. I was up in a church just this last Wednesday night up in Minnesota, and they had sent some college students off to Bible college. And they came to me, Providence, my home church. Do you know my son, so-and-so? And not even the parents, do you know so-and-so? We sent them off to college there, and they were so proud of the people that they sent off to learn, to grow, and to be a part of the ministry. They were proud when it came time for prayer time, and they were right on the list, pray for the finalists for so-and-so. It was someone that they were really proud of. And that's what I imagine with Epaphroditus. I imagine this is the young man that they sent off. He was on their prayer list. He was the one that they were proud of. Yes, the church had a relationship with Paul. They trusted him. They respected him. They listened to him. They listened to his preaching. They had spent time with him. But Epaphroditus was also well known and probably greatly trusted by the people in the church there. So, we see in verse 25 of chapter 2, he goes through and he gives this testimony. He's my brother, my companion in labor, my fellow soldier, the messenger, the minister. Why did Paul feel that it was necessary for him to give this testimony, this recommendation to the people that already knew him so well? Well, we see the answer. The Bible mentions in Matthew chapter 13, verse 57, Mark chapter 6 and verse 4, Jesus said unto them, a prophet is not without honor, but in his own country and among his own kin and in his own house. The most intimidating place to preach? It's not in the biggest church that I've been to. And that can be a little bit intimidating, but it's not the most intimidating. It is in the pulpit of my own home church, or in the chapel of the Bible college where I went to school, or here in the place where I know the family, and Lisa's looking at, what is he talking about? Why is he saying that? But it's true. These are the people that know me. They know my weaknesses. They know all the stupid things that I've done. And trust me, there's plenty of them. Now, they don't know all of them. That's true. But they know me. They know my weaknesses. And it's hard sometimes to stand up and preach when you know that, at least in my mind, I'm sure Uncle Todd's probably thinking about that stupid time when I did this, that, and the other. And I know it's not true. I know it's not. But it is a difficult and an intimidating thing. Come on. Those stories, they do need to remain untold. But, we need to give people a chance to grow and to change. Especially when you have young people that are growing up and serving in ministry and growing in the Lord, you're going to have people that were once little children, were once stupid, were once doing foolish things, but now are serving the Lord and are used by the Lord in a great way. And they deserve that respect. They need you to understand that they do grow. And the Lord does that in any church that's actually growing and moving forward. You're going to have people that are doing that are moving from one place where they were not what they were supposed to be to the place where now they're being used by the Lord. And we need to understand that. We need to give them a chance to do that and look for the potential. So now Paul is sending Epaphroditus back to his home church. Not only does Epaphroditus have to deal with the stigma of being from that church and the people that are looking at him like the little kid that they've always known, but he's being sent in place of Paul. And talk about some big shoes to fill. And we think of Paul as probably the greatest evangelist of all time, certainly of the New Testament. And he is going back in Paul's place, to his home church. It is sometimes intimidating to stand in the pulpits of other preachers, obviously not in my own pulpit. When I stand up and, teach down in the village church there, when I stand up and even in my mind, in the church there where people that I know, it's a natural thing, it's a great thing. I come to them with a message that I know the Lord has for them, I know them well, and I'm looking forward to it. Sometimes you get up in a pulpit and you're intimidated because it's not the that's yours. It's something, a place where the man of God that you know and respect has stood many times in the place. I remember it was the same church actually I was talking about on Wednesday night. They said last Sunday, Brother Murphy. Y'all know Brother Murphy? Great evangelist, just amazing speaker. Like, Brother Murphy was here this last Sunday. And he was preaching. They're talking about his rhymes, and, the things that he was doing. I'm thinking, that's a little bit intimidating. Brother Murphy was preaching on Sunday. Now I'm here on Wednesday night behind him. It's a bit intimidating, and I imagine that Epaphroditus felt the same way. Paul was there before, and they're expecting Paul to come and set things in order. They're expecting Paul to come and teach them and show them, the way that their church needs to move forward. But yet now, here comes Epaphroditus. The little boy who grew up with him from that church. And it was an intimidating thing. But it's going to happen. The old men and women of the faith, they're not going to be around forever. Their health will fail them. They're going to have to move on. And we need young people that are going to be able to stand up in the place of these men of God and preach the Word of God and give direction and encourage people and show people where they need to go from here. And it's going to happen. God does not give any special respect to one man of God versus another. It really doesn't. We're all. I'm talking to Pastor earlier about notes getting mixed up here, but some of these pastors, they're not going to be around forever. They need someone to go and take their place. Hopefully, like Paul here, they're not going to be in prison. I don't want to be coming to preach in your place because you're in prison here in the United States. I don't want some young person to have to come and take your place because you're in jail. But we're going to have to step up. Young people are going to have to step up and lead in the churches. Let's look in verse 5 here, or 25, or chapter 2, at some of the things that Paul used to describe Epaphroditus, that he used to prepare the church for Epaphroditus coming. And these are things that we can emulate, that we need to copy ourselves. The first thing he says here in chapter 25, or verse 25 of chapter 2, "Yet I suppose it necessary to send to you Epaphroditus, my," what does it say? Brother. My brother. Now I love this word. It's something that we use often in Nepal. You don't have to remember everyone's name, praise the Lord. You actually greet people, and you just tell people, brother. Now, it's a little bit interesting because when you greet people with brother, there is no word for brother in Nepal. You actually have older brother and younger brother only. So, I mean, you think about it, everyone is younger and everyone is, or older, so one or the other. So when you greet someone, you kind of size them up for age. He's my dad, which is the older brother. Or if they're younger, you say, bye. And that's so you greet them according to how you think they are. And if they think you got it wrong, the first thing they'll say, I'm talking about before they ask your name, before they ask anything else, how old are you? You think you're my dad, you're calling me your younger brother, whatever, but you greet everyone as a brother. And really, even if you know people's names, you don't always greet them with their names. You mostly greet them, as a brother when you meet them. And I like that a lot, because not only is this term used to describe fellow believers, in this passage, but it's also a term that puts Epaphroditus and Paul on the same level. They're both brothers in Christ. And I can stand with a man of God who has served in the ministry for many years on one side, and a little boy, a little child on the other, and God does not have any more or less respect for one another. They're still brothers in Christ. And Paul used this term to show, that there's level ground at the foot of the cross. And we are not the same. We're all different, but we are respected the same in God's eyes. And we're not called. I don't want to call for people to be prideful. You're just as good as your pastor, but in God's eyes, we're brothers. We really are. There are people, I believe, especially young people, I think, that don't attempt great things for God because they don't understand this concept. They think that they're, what's the word I'm looking for, underlings or less than or just servants of the men of God. They don't see themselves as brothers or sisters, and that's not true. If you are willing to submit your life to the Lord and do His will, you can be used by Him just as much as any missionary, just as much as any evangelist, just as much as any pastor that you know, as any man of God. And you can call yourself a brother or a sister to that person. We are all children of God. And Paul said, first of all, in verse 25, Epaphroditus, my brother. But not only was he a brother, what is the next thing it says here? And companion in, what does it say? Labor. What a testimony. Now, it is a shame, and you hear, especially, I know I sound over. Those young people, they don't know how to work. I'm telling you what, But it is a shame how hard it is to find people that will work and know how to work. And, Pastor Morrissey, Pastor Uncle, we were sitting there before service, and we're talking about the work that you all had done to get that carpet up and, removing all that thing. That was some labor that needed to be done, some work. And in the ministry, there is hard work that needs to be done. And, lazy people, this is not a new phenomenon. It's not something that just occurred in 2015. There have always been lazy people, and also in the ministry. But Paul says about Epaphroditus that he was my fellow laborer. He was my co-laborer. He worked alongside me. We see often in the teachings of Paul, he talks about work. I think it's in 1 Thessalonians I was teaching through, where he talks about, I worked beside you and you saw my work. He understands the importance of hard work. We see, people, there are some guys that I really believe that work draws people together. It really shows a lot about your character, about who you are. We have some men that we had hired to work on this field, and we bought this field to have the children's program to put a piece of building on. And this land is very steep. I mean, I'm not exaggerating when I say this steep, the land that we bought. So we hired some men to take pickaxes and shovels, and they literally chipped out, terraces, in that land so that we could have play area for the kids, so we could build a building for the kids to meet. We actually cut into the land, a trail that comes down from the road, into it. And I didn't just hire these guys and say, oh, go and do this work. So I went up there and I worked with them for, several days. And, these are some old, hard-working men from the village that was nearby. And I went out and worked with them. And I didn't think anything of it. You go out there and you dig in with a pickaxe, keeping at it, showing them what needs to be done. And the next week we're out visiting in the village. And I talked to someone. And he said, oh, Genender, he was just telling me that you were out there and working with him, and he was saying that they could barely keep up with you. And it was kind of a funny thing, that testimony went to someone that was not a part of the church, someone that I had never, at that point, never met before, but yet they knew about my labor. And let me tell you, other people are looking at your labor. They're watching your testimony. Paul knew it was important that they know that Epaphroditus was a hard worker. If the Bible says that the laborer is worthy of his hire, it talks about the man of God and people taking care of him. And if you take that and you flip it around, the person who doesn't work, they ain't worth much. That's for sure. And we need some Christians that are laborers, reliable laborers, people that are a help and a blessing in the ministry, just like Paul thought that Epaphroditus would be in Philippi. Pronounce that. As we would say in Nepali, it's easier to say, I don't know, whatever. We need to make sure that we are ready to work when we surrender to the Lord and what He wants us to do. I think some people, they surrender going to the ministry because they think it's going to be easy life. It's going to be a place I can improve. I know we don't want to talk about it because it's not the majority, but there are people like that. It's a shame. We need some Christians, not just even full-time Christian workers, not just pastors, not just staff, but we need some people that are committed to laboring and working for the Lord. Not only that, so we see first off, he said he's my brother, he's my companion and laborer. He was able to keep up with Paul and working. He says, and what does it say? Fellow soldier. Fellow soldier. Now we know he's not actually talking about serving in the military. I can imagine Paul has his picture with him in the M16. They didn't have those back then? But they were not real soldiers. But he's trying to say something about this man. Frankly, we love these comparisons to the military. We sing "Onward, Christian Soldier." Sound the battle cry. Some of these songs, I heard "Sound the Battle Cry" last week for the first time in years. We don't sing those English songs in Nepal. It was a blessing to hear. But we love those. We love those comparisons to the military because the Christian life, it truly is a battle. And a soldier is the ideal example of what a Christian should be when we need to be ready to face difficulty. We need to be ready to fight against evil. We need to be ready for this battle between good and evil. The battle between the forces of heaven and the forces of hell. We really do need to be like soldiers. Too many people don't realize this. They're oblivious to the battle that's going on around them. They're focused on trivial things, focused on inconsequential things. More worried about their video game scores than what's happening at the house of God. More worried about what the latest celebrity said. What's in the latest celebrity magazines. We all fall into it, especially on Facebook. It's so easy to get wrapped up in Starbucks and their red cup and who said this about what politician and now I'm meddling here. Sports stuff. Inconsequential, trivial things that we get so worked up and worried about. I'm not saying you can't have a distraction, you can't enjoy things, but too often these things become our focus in life. And Paul says, that's not Epaphroditus. Epaphroditus, he is a soldier. He knows about this battle. He knows about this fight between good and evil, and he is a soldier in this fight. He's serious about the things of God, serious about serving the Lord and fighting sin. It's easy to make fun of, serious-minded people, Oh, he doesn't even know how to take a joke. That guy, you make fun of him, these jokes, they fly right over the head because they're focused on something serious. But we need Christians that are more serious. We need people that are focused on the things of God in their lives and not just the frivolous, silly things that God doesn't care about. We need people that are willing to be soldiers and serious-minded, ready to fight like Epaphroditus. So, we've got number one. Epaphroditus was his what? His brother, that's right. Next, he was his companion in labor. Third, we said he was his fellow soldier. So then he moves to something that he says, we're going to talk about some things that you already know about Epaphroditus. I'm laughing because apparently I got tired in my notes here of writing Epaphroditus. We see refer back to things that they already knew about Epaph. So I'm sorry, I got distracted there. Epaphroditus was sent by this church. He said, there are some things that you knew about him when you sent him to me. Some things that that will also be in effect when he comes back. You remember this. So he says, number one, your messenger. You sent him to me as a messenger. Apparently, I don't know if they sent words of encouragement. I don't know if they told Paul that he needed to get his act together and use his money in a more, a better way. I don't know what the message was, but apparently he gave this message to Paul. And Paul knew that he was a good messenger. He said, just like you knew he would be a good messenger when he came to me, he will be the same for you when I send him with my message. And we need some people that know how to be messengers. In all of the service and work and travel and giving, we need some people that don't forget to share the message of Christ. That don't stop sharing the gospel, that don't stop preaching the truth. Yes, even lay people preaching the truth. We are supposed to be messengers, sharing God's word. Not our own words, not our own ideas, our own philosophies, our own ideas, not our own traditions even, or preferences, but people that are carrying the message of the gospel of Christ. Paul said, you know he can do this, and he'll do the same for me. It's great to be a messenger. It really is. It's a wonderful, it takes something off of your shoulders when you're a messenger, because you're not sharing your own ideas. You're not sharing the things like, this is Rob Robideau's message. This is what Rob Robideau feels. This is what Rob Robideau thinks about it. No. I can tell you, this is what Paul said. This is straight from the Bible. This is what we ought to be. And there's no burden on me. No, Rob, you're wrong. No. If you argue with what I say when I'm truly carrying a message, you're arguing with God's word. You're arguing with the Bible. You're arguing with a higher authority than me. It's great to be a messenger because I don't have to worry about that message. I just share what God gives me, and I leave the rest to the Lord. That's too many people when they go out soloing, when they go out visiting, they take it too personal. When you go out, you're sharing not your own message. It's not a reflection on you when someone slams the door in your face. It's not a reflection on you when someone says, I don't like it, leave me alone, go away. It's not you, it's a message that you're sharing. And we need some Christians that understand that it's a message, and it takes something off of our own shoulders when we hear that, or when we know that we're sharing his message. Paul reminded the people that Epaphroditus knew how to be a messenger. We need people that are called to be messengers. Messengers to the lost and the brokenhearted, messengers to the backslidden, messengers to the unsaved, messengers. So again, we see Epaphroditus, my what? Brother. He said, my companion in, my fellow soldier. He says, what was it we just said? Messenger, and he that ministered to my wants. To minister means to care for, to look after, to assist, to attend to. I know we often use the term minister in church, but too many preachers are not even ministers. It is a shame. But Paul said that Epaphroditus knew how to minister, even to Paul and his wants. And that same spirit and that attitude in ministry would be a blessing to them when he came back. We need some men and women that are ministers, not just to their leaders, not even just to the people around them in church, but ministers in their community, people that attend to the needs of the people around them, people that care about the people that are around them. There are some people that that generally come to mind when I think of a minister, a person that ministers. I think of Brother Anderson, a man at my own church. I don't know how many of you know him, but know Brother Anderson. But I'm telling you, he is just a blessing to the people around him. And sometimes you talk to people, and I won't use him for an illustration because many of you don't know him, but you wonder, does that person just lay in bed at night thinking about what I need? Because they come to you with that word of encouragement just when you need it. They're that person that brings that bag of groceries and leaves it on your step just when you need it. They're that person that thinks about, what you're feeling, what you're going through sending your kid off to college, or what you're going through with your child struggling with this thing. They're that person who is thinking about others all the time. Good. That is a minister. And you don't have to have a whole lot of money to be a minister. You don't have to be old person, because we always think of those kind old people. You don't have to be an old person to be a minister. You don't have to. You don't have any special qualifications. You just have to care. Amen. Care about the people that are around you. And Paul said, Epaphroditus, he knew how to minister to me, and he can do the same for you. Paul said, take Epaphroditus in my place. He's a brother. He's a laborer. He's a soldier. He's a messenger. He's a minister. Can I ask you, if Pastor Morrissey had to send one of you in his place to go visit someone, or maybe even to a foreign country, maybe to the mission field, and he sent you in his place to be an encouragement or to help out this other pastor or this other missionary, would this same testimony be able to be said about you? Would he be able to say that you were the brother, you were the laborer, that you were the fellow soldier, the messenger, the minister. Every head bowed and every eye closed. As pastors coming for the invitation, I don't know what the Lord spoke to you about today. Maybe you need to be a brother or sister in Christ. Maybe you don't know Christ as your personal Savior, and you need to be saved. And you say, I want to be a part of the family of Christ. I don't know if the Lord spoke to your heart about that today. Maybe the Lord spoke to your heart about being a servant and working. Maybe you want to step it up and be a better laborer like Epaphroditus. Maybe you've been focusing on the trivial and the inconsequential things in your life, and you need to be more of a soldier. You say, I want to be more serious about the things of God and what He wants for me and what He has for me in my life. Maybe you need to be a better messenger. Share the gospel with someone that's been around you that you've been afraid to. Maybe you've been taking that message on yourself and you say, I need to be a messenger and just share what God has given me. Share the message of the Lord. And maybe He wants you to be focused on the needs of others as a minister. Whatever it be, I hope the Lord spoke to your heart to be appreciated.
Let's stand together. Practical advice about safety and things like that. We live in a time where we think about terrorist activity and all kinds of things, and there's some good practical advice about that. And you pick that up. These are, I think, $100 each. How much are they? Discounted to $50. All right, today and today only. All right, they're $100 value on sale today for $5. All right, 95% off. All right, get one of those if you would as well. But let's pray together, and we'll let you be seated for a few moments. We take our offering, and then we'll be dismissed. Father, we thank you for just your goodness and the love, Lord, for each and every one of us, Lord, as we labor together, Lord, to serve you. Lord, I ask you just bless Rob as he continues to move around from place to place. We ask that you keep it safe, watch over him. Lord, bless this offering, Lord, bless both the gift and the giver alike. Bless us in your name. Amen. Be seated, great time at our Christmas party last night. And appreciate all those that made the way out. And we had a good time there. And we had I've never done those sock things there before. All right, so that was a lot of fun and a good time of fellowship. Especially had a good time. And if you missed it, we'll look for you next year. All right, but we'll have some different activities coming up. Matter of fact, we've got some of the announcements rolling through there. I encourage you to pay attention to that. I'm going to ask you to go ahead and get on back to your table there. And you stop by and welcome him. And, if you have any questions, anything to ask, we'll be glad to answer them. He'll be able to be around here for a little while, and but then he'll not be able to be here this evening. He's got another place to go. So this is that time, all right? Make sure to pick up one of these books here. $5 not a bad idea, and that'll help him as well. All right, listen, let's go ahead and stand together, and you are dismissed this morning. But have your church today. You're dismissed.